Welcome, nerds. This is Mr. Storm, and this is the first, I guess, guided document that we're going to create in desktop publishing. The last assignment had you just kind of play around and explore Microsoft Publisher, get used to the program, and today is the first day we're actually going to build something new. So we're going to talk about some design concepts that you need to be aware of. I'm going to guide you through building this project, building this business card. Essentially, we're starting really small here. We want to find a way to be economic with our space. We want to find a way to come up with a very flashy, nice looking design on a very small amount of space. So I'm going to walk you through the process. I'm going to build one of my own. With these guided videos, please don't try to copy exactly what I'm doing. Don't make one that looks exactly like mine, because then you're not really learning anything. You're not exploring. Part of the fun of this class is playing around with stuff and seeing what you can come up with that's unique to you. This is a creative class, and the more creative you get with it, the more you're going to get out of the class. Okay, so that's my whole spiel done with. If you look at the assignment description, let me pull this over, for the business card assignment, it tells you right here specifically that we're looking for a 3.5 inch long by 2 inch tall business card. And we want to take into account white space, balance, contrast, repetition, and proximity. So these are all things we're going to talk about in this video. So first of all, how do we get it to be 3.5 by 2? Well, we have a couple of options here. We have a 8.5 by 11 or 11 by 8.5 landscape, more blank page sizes, which is probably what we're going to do. But it would be tempting, and a lot of you are going to be tempted to scroll through here and find a template for a business card that you can just swap out some elements and then be done. Now, when you're doing this, if time is a factor, templates might help. But I try not to use templates as much as possible, because it kind of, first of all, it cuts out a lot of the work that, a lot of the fun work, the design work, and it makes you a little more lazy, and it inhibits your creativity because you don't want to change any elements that are already there that you like, and so you tend to take less risks or fewer risks. And so it becomes an issue. So I try not to use templates as much as possible. I try to start with a blank canvas so that I can really get the design I want. All right, so I'm going to click more blank page sizes. I'm going to look to see if I can find one that is, business card size. But you know what? Instead of looking through all these, I'm just going to create a new page size. So here I have all the options ahead of me, or in front of me. I can change everything about them. And for example, I'm going to name this business card. Okay, and I can change the exact length, the width and height, of this object or of this publication right here. So we're looking for 3.5 inches by 2 inches. And you can see that that's going to make our paper really small. And we can make it 1 page per sheet. We can do multiple pages per sheet, so we can have business cards, like a whole sheet of business cards that we can print out on our own. We could do that. That's probably a good idea. We would have to have this design itself duplicated in all of these in order to get it to work properly. I'm going to stick with just 1 page per sheet for now, just so it's easy for us to, and it wiped out my height and width, so that it's easier for us to focus just on the design itself. All right, and I'm going to click OK. And now I have this business card template, and I can change the template colors and all that stuff here, but I'm going to do that when I get into there and change the font scheme, attach this to my business if I want, but I'm not going to worry about all those. I'm just going to go ahead and click Create. All right, and then that will pull up my business card. Now I have a blank slate. I can start doing things here. Now, in the first assignment you did, you learned about how to prepare for a design document. You learned how to. Oh, sorry about that. You learned how to plan a document, how to, draw a thumbnail sketch of what you want, how to, move things around before you actually sit down on the design process. Now with this, I didn't do that yet, okay? You always want to start with a plan in your head, at least, but it's recommended that you draw it out, have it somewhere as a thumbnail so that you can get an idea of what you're going to be, what you want it to look like by the time you're done. But I am just going to kind of fly by the seat of my pants here. All right, so let's think about what we need. We need to make sure we account for white space. White space is super important because if it's too bunched up, if all my elements are too bunched up, it's going to make the design feel too busy. If my elements are too spread out and there's too much space in between those elements, it's going to feel less. Sometimes that's effective, but it's really a matter of kind of getting a feel for how you want your design to work. The first thing I'm going to do, though, is I want to make sure I abide by the rules of the rule of thirds. Now, the rule of thirds means that if you imagine that this is separated into 3 sections, top and bottom, left and right, it's a grid of 9 squares, which we can, no, how are we going to do this? Guides, rulers, page navigation. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be able to set up rule of thirds. But imagine, so we have this 3.5 inches across. Imagine there's a line coming down here and a line coming down here. And as a matter of fact, I'm just going to go ahead and create a line. I will just draw some lines in here just so it's easy for us to see. So that's not straight. And forgive me, my mouse is, I think, losing its batteries. The batteries are going dead, so it kind of does phantom clicks every once in a while. So imagine we have 2 lines going there and 2 lines going across here, and imagine that they're actually straight, and I didn't drink too much coffee and my hands aren't shaky, and imagine that they're actually even, like they're even grids. What we want to do is we want to make sure that our design elements, our important design elements, meet up in one of these vertices, these vertexes, where these lines actually meet. We want our important information to be right on this line, because the way the rule of thirds works, with photography or with design, is if you're looking at a whole image, your eyes are going to be drawn to these 4 areas, okay? We think that we're going to look directly in the center, but that's not necessarily true unless we have something drawing our eyes directly to the center. For the most part, we look at these, we scan a document looking from these 4 areas all the way around. And so we start up here. This is the most important area of our document. And if you can frame your subject, or if you can put your most important information right here, that would actually help to highlight the most important information on your document. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my most important information right there, and I'm going to make it nice and big, and I'm going to, we haven't gone into typography yet, but I'm going to use some typography skills to make sure that it actually looks the way it's supposed to look. So I'm going to go ahead and go into Insert. I'm going to draw a text box, and I'm going to put my name. Now, I actually want to make some changes here. First of all, I want to make sure that I'm using a font that grabs the eyes. Now, I'm a modern teacher. I teach a modern subject, so I want to use a modern font. Modern fonts usually are sans serif, meaning they don't have the little tailies on the font. And I want a nice, big, bold, modern font. Impact is kind of overused, so I'm going to ignore that for now, but it may be something I come back to. Let's find a good one. There's got to be a really, really good modern. That's pretty good. Maybe. I want something that is little. All right. Okay, I could spend all day doing this. I definitely don't want Berlin Sans. That's gross. I'll go back to Franklin Gothic. All right, I could spend all day doing that. I'm not going to. So now it's a nice modern font. I'm going to make it nice and big. Now, I just need to resize my text box. That might be a little bit too big. Let's bring that down just a little bit. 16, that's fine. And I actually want this to be capitalized. So instead of, instead of going into, instead of retyping it all out, I can actually go into the font settings and I can make it all caps. That's just an easy way to make that happen. Okay. All right. I'm going to make sure it's in the top right-hand corner. Okay, perfect. And then down here, I want to have my next important information. I want to have, actually, I'm going to put it down over here because it'll look a little bit better for white space. Put my next couple of things. Actually, I just decided I'm going to make this a business card for my company for Rectangle Press. Okay. I'm actually going to shrink that just a little bit. All right. And then, so I need to explain what Rectangle Press is, so I will draw a text box underneath here. Now you can't see it, obviously, because it's super big, and I want to make that a little bit smaller. I want to use the same font as that because it's a part of the same element. Make it just a little bit smaller. And I want to, this is going to be all caps. Down here I'm going to make this all undercase, or all lowercase. It's a typography thing. So let's go into the font, and I will make it small caps. Oh, nope, that's not what small caps is. Small caps is, let's see, change text, font. Actually, all I have to cancel. All I have to do is, oh, yep. So small caps actually made all these uppercase, but made my first thing nice and big. So all I have to do is do that. I could honestly just made it all uppercase. Okay, so I pushed it right up next to it, right? So what that says to the person looking at this business card is that this is the title of the company, or this is the name of the company, and then down here is important information as well. I'm going to draw a text box down here, and I'm going to put in all of the relevant information for my company. So, really for me, it's just going to be rectanglepress.com. I'm going to change that. I want to make sure that's all lowercase. I'm going to push that to the bottom left-hand corner of the thing. I'm going to keep the same font down here. Now I have rectanglepress.com. I could put some other information, like for example, I'm going to do rectanglepress@gmail.com. Okay. And I'm actually going to swap these so that they're one's on top of the other. No, I liked it better the way it was. Actually, I can just Control Z. And then up here on top, I'm going to put my name.
Cadet Innocenzi, please come to the front office. Cadet Innocenzi, please come to the front office. And Cadet Colby Smith.
CEO. I am the CEO of rectanglepress.com. All right. Now the last thing I need to do is I need to put my logo on here. Now there are plenty more design elements that I could have done to make this more interesting. For example, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make all this, I'm going to change the color of these pieces of information because that will, that will draw your eye to the important information here. I'm going to put my Rectangle Press logo right here. So insert pictures, and let's see if I can find one. I think I have one on my desktop. Let's find one. Oh, there we go. rectangle press. I'll put that right there. Shrink this guy down. Put him right there. Probably would be better with a longer logo. But that kind of got pushed out of the way. I'm going to change the wrap settings here so that it is on top. No wrap settings, so that I can kind of put it wherever I want it to go. Now there are some issues with its okay, so that's a pretty good looking business card right there. I could print that off and start handing that out pretty much right away. Now I would want to spend more time playing around with it to try to get the design exactly right. Try to make sure that, you know, I was accounting for white space and the rule of thirds and making sure everything looked good. Like for example, there's a nice gap here. I probably should push something over in this element, like a design element, like maybe just a black box or something, just to kind of fill in that white space. But for the most part, that looks pretty good, and I would accept that as a good business card. But we just kind of made it. We just slapped it together. It took us, what, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes. So, and you know, it's really not that hard. You just have to make, you know, you have to make smart choices when it comes to rule of thirds. Notice how all of my important stuff is on those points. Nothing's directly in the center. You have to make smart choices when it comes to design. You have to make smart choices when it comes to typography. So I'm gonna cut this video now because we're getting a lot of announcements and I gotta move on to formation. But I'm gonna cut this video now. Please have fun with this assignment. Try as many options as you can. If you get done early, make another one, make a third one, make a fourth one, make as many of these as you want. Try different styles. Play around with it. And again, the more you play with the stuff, the better you're going to get at it. So thanks for paying attention, and I will see you next time.